be our pastoral care moment for ourselves. And I have watched so many preachers work out their stuff in the pulpit and in the altar call, for those of us who are Baptists or Pentecostal, yeah. And I sit there and I've only left the church once when and that was my home church at the time. And I was like, I cannot do this one more time. One more Sunday, I cannot hear this man do this to us one more time. Because I just can't. And I was not the only woman who left church that Sunday. This was a pastor who every negative example in his sermon was a woman. Every. And I couldn't do it another Sunday. Luckily, he was the pastor emeritus, so they didn't give him a lot of airtime every year, but he got up there at least 4 times a year, every 4 times. It's not our pastoral care moment. It's not that place where we work out what's going on in our families or in our associations with our fellow pastors or the board.
Yes, ma'am.
Or the preaching is not about solving your administrative woes. It's not. Preaching is, for me, it's about the preacher literally wrestling with the text.
Yes.
And trying to be as honest as possible about what you are hearing from that text. Knowing that from one day you're going to hear one thing and another day you're going to hear something else. And it doesn't mean you're contradicting, that just means you're growing.
It also means that the text is multivalent.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't come to the text tabula rasa, and the text is not tabula rasa. Like, the meanings arise in context. Meanings arise as, wrestling is actually my favorite metaphor about the preaching, wrestling a blessing from the text. Because sometimes the good news is not in the text. Sometimes the good news is, this ain't good news.
Right.
But and I mean, and being honest enough to say that, because I think the other piece, now this is around ethics of preaching for me, the other piece is the way we lie with the text, where we feel like we have to walk along and agree with the text that we know is not, it's just not true. Like, my favorite example, the one that's in the book that I'm finishing finally, is the Jephthah's daughter piece. It's like that. Now, people either, I'm not going to preach it, or they do what somebody I know did, which is say, Jephthah was faithful to the vow he made, as if that somehow is legitimate. And so I say, okay, the only thing that ever comes to me, warring men in the Bible are dancing women. So the question is, which woman were you planning to sacrifice? And how is that okay? That we keep building communities where it's okay to sacrifice women and children. Like, now, that'll preach for me all day long. Because that's against that text. I'm never going to agree with anybody who says, but the Bible says, and she agreed. Well, she agreed because she was in a patriarchal society that allowed that. I'm not in that society. And it's not the world I want to live in. And it's not the world I want to create. So it's not, as Dr. Will Gaffney said, it's biblical, but it ain't godly.
I think it's also important to realize that the Bible is full of positive examples and negative examples. And we try to change them all into positive.
Yeah.
And sometimes the Bible will say, don't do this. Here's an example of what you don't